Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dr. Mercado speaking once again. This is going to be my last lecture over Chapter 19, which deals with support department and joint cost allocation. Now this problem is exercise 19-7. Okay, let me go ahead and transition over to the exercise. I've already got everything set up here. Okay, so this problem deals with support department cost allocation using the direct method. It says, Becker Tabletops has two support departments, the janitorial and the cafeteria, and two production departments, the cutting and assembly. Okay, so the janitorial and the cafeteria departments support the production departments, which are the cutting and assembly departments. Relevant details for these departments are as follows. So we've got the janitorial department. The cost driver is the square footage to be serviced. Okay, the more square feet that your production department has, the higher the expense related to janitorial services. We also have the cafeteria department, which that's based on the number of employees. Okay. Below that, we've got a table with the department cost, the square feet, and the number of employees for the janitorial department, cafeteria department, cutting department, and assembly department. We have to allocate the support department costs to the production departments using the direct method. Okay. Now, what are they asking us here? What they're asking us to do is we're going to get the support department's costs and we're going to allocate those costs of the support department, which is my janitorial and my cafeteria. I'm going to allocate those to my department cost or my production cost, which is my cutting and my assembly departments. Okay, so my cutting and my assembly departments are the actual departments that manufacture the goods. My support departments support those departments, those cutting and assembly departments. So what they're asking us to do is to allocate the support department costs to the production departments respectively. Okay, now we've got two production departments. We've got cutting and we've got assembly. Okay, now they've given us the drivers up here. The janitorial department is based on square feet. The cafeteria is based on the number of employees. I've set them up here into two separate tables, okay? The first one is I'm going to allocate my janitorial cost to the cutting and the assembly department. Then I'm going to allocate my cafeteria cost. These highlighted in yellow are my support departments. I'm going to allocate my cafeteria cost to my cutting and my assembly, okay? Now, for janitorial department allocation, for the janitorial department allocation, my driver, how I am going to allocate my costs is by square feet. So I put that up here, square feet, okay? So let's work this one out first, okay? We're going to look at the table down here and we're going to allocate or we're going to locate the square feet, okay? And we're only interested in our production departments, which are cutting and assembly, okay? That is 1,000 square feet for cutting, 4,000 square feet for assembly. Okay, so let's put that in there, 1,000 and 4,000. So in total, I've got 5,000 of production department square feet available. Okay, now my proportion or allocation, whatever you want to call it, okay, is going to be calculated. How do we calculate it? Well, we get the square feet for that particular department, which is 1,000. And I'm going to divide by my total square feet, which is 5,000. Okay, that gives me a 20% allocation for the cutting department. I'm going to get my square feet for the assembly department, and I'm going to divide it by my total square feet. That gives me 80%. So you add those two together, and that gives you 100%. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that I am going to allocate 20% of my janitorial cost to cutting department, 80% to assembly. Now, what is my cost for the janitorial services? Okay, let's look at the problem. My cost for the janitorial department, why am I doing an arrow? Okay, let me go back right here. My cost for the janitorial department is $310,000, okay? That is what I am splitting into my two production departments. I'm splitting that $310,000 cost into those two departments. So the cost that I'm splitting is $310,000. Okay. Once we've identified that, for my allocation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my department cost, which is $310,000, and I'm going to multiply it by my allocation percentage. For the cutting department is 20%. Okay, that's going to give me $62,000 for the cutting. And for the assembly, I'm going to get the $310,000, multiply that by 80%, and that gives me $248,000. Okay, you add those two numbers up, and that should give you $310,000, which it does. Okay, so what I'm doing here, guys, it's very simple. All you do is you get your department cost times the allocation that we calculated. Okay, and that will give you your allocation amount. I'm allocating $62,000 out of the $310,000 to the cutting department. Now for the assembly department, I'm going to get the $310,000 times the 80%, and that gives me $248,000. How do we get our allocation percentage? We got that by getting our square feet for that department, which is 1,000 square feet, and we divide by our total square feet, which is 5,000. I'm going to multiply by 100, and that gives me 20%. Okay. For the assembly department, I'm going to get my 4,000 divided by 5,000, which is my total. That gives me 0.8. I'm going to multiply by 100, and that gives me 80%. Okay. So now I know that my $310,000 janitorial cost is going to be split $62,000 to the cutting department, $248,000 to the assembly department, and this is based on the number of square feet that each department or production department has. Now, for the cafeteria, my driver is my number of employees. Okay, your number of employees. Okay, so for the number of employees down here, this is what we're going to be using. Okay, we're going to use 30 and 10. I've got 30 people in my cutting department. I've got 10 in my assembly department. Okay, now, let me go ahead and, there we go. Okay, so now my allocation, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add these two together. You always need to get the total to be able to calculate your allocation. Okay, so to get your proportion, you're going to get your 30 divided by your 40. 30 is the production department, number of employees for the cutting department. 40 will always be your denominator. That's going to be the total number of employees that they had in those two departments. So that's 75%. For the assembly department, it will be 10 employees divided by 40 employees. That will give me 25%. I add these two together, and that gives me 100%. Okay. Now, what am I distributing? Okay, in this particular case, we are distributing the cafeteria department cost. Okay, cafeteria department cost. My cafeteria department costs are $169,000. Okay, that is what I have to split into my two departments, $169,000, and that is being split based on the number of employees, which we've already calculated here. Now, to calculate your allocation, you're going to get your department cost, which is $169,000, times the proportion or allocation percentage, which is 75%. That gives me $126,750 for my cutting department. Now for the assembly department, I'm going to get my $169,000, and I'm going to multiply that by my allocation, which is 25%, and that gives me $42,250. The total of these two should give you your department cost, which is $169,000, which is perfect. So that tells me that the $169,000 cost for my cafeteria department is going to be split $126,750 for my cutting department and $42,250 for my assembly department. Why? because the cutting department has more employees than my assembly department. We are allocating costs based on the number of employees for the cafeteria component. Okay, so the problem asks us to allocate the support department costs to the production departments using the direct method, which we have done. We have allocated my janitorial cost to both my cutting and assembly, and my cafeteria costs to both my cutting and assembly. Okay, and these are the numbers. The highlighted numbers are the allocation for each of those production departments. Okay, fairly straightforward. Please make sure that you organize your problems. That way you understand what you're doing, each of your calculations. If while you're completing your homework you have any questions, please email me or send me a Blackboard message. Include the question number, the problem, your attempted solution, and your specific questions or concerns. That way I can get back with you as soon as possible with some guidance. Make sure that you keep track of your time, stay organized so you can be able to meet all of your assignment deadlines. And that is basically it for my lectures for Chapter 19. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your week, and until next time, thank you.